Good evening, Chairman Merman and members of the Education Committee. My name is Donna Faber, D-O-N-N-A-F, like Frank, A-B-E-R. Thank you very much for your work on behalf of Nebraskans. I'm speaking in opposition to LB 575. I am a board-certified family medicine physician. For 20 years, the last 16 of them here in Nebraska, I've been delivering babies and caring for children and adolescents. I truly enjoy helping them stay healthy so that they can reach their full potential. That potential includes physical activity and sports. As a former professional athlete, I can attest to the importance of sports and being part of a team. I played on the women's professional tennis tour for 6 years, from 1988 to 1993. That means playing all the Grand Slam events, Wimbledon, the French Open, Australian, US Open, every year. In 1991, I was on the United States team for the Pan American Games in Havana, Cuba. I won a gold medal in doubles with Pam Shriver. As a medalist, I was subjected to compulsory DNA testing by cheek swab. So that answers the question if anybody here is that karyotyping. That would be me. To prove that I am female. As a young person with no medical background yet or no knowledge of genetic testing, I just had a vague feeling that this was inappropriate. And my DNA might still be running around in a warehouse in Cuba somewhere. I know I am female because my brain tells me I am. The same is true for transgender persons. They know what gender they are because that is how their brains are made. The brain of a transgender person resembles the gender with which they identify. There are physical differences in the brains of transgender persons that can be seen on MRI. I included an article on MRIs in your information packet. A person who says she is female truly is. The human brain is amazing, and there is so much that modern medicine is still learning. But we do know that if a transgender adolescent says she is female, she really is. It is not something someone chooses. While their brains and bodies may not align, these young Nebraskans should not be denied the right to use the bathroom, which is pretty basic, where they feel comfortable. They are not harming anyone. They're simply going to the bathroom. And just as important, they should have the same right to play sports as other children in the gender with which they identify. Being part of the team is so important to building confidence and character, and for the sport itself, for fun and health. Remember, these are kids we're talking about. I have good friends whose children are transgender and suffered a great deal when they were younger. They transitioned in middle school and are no longer depressed. They are now happy, healthy children, living as and looking like their identified gender. To require them to use the wrong bathroom would be humiliating and anxiety-inducing for them. We can't put them through that. The risk of suicide is so high. 82% of transgender individuals have considered killing themselves, and 40% have attempted suicide, with the highest rates among transgender youth. Olympic medalist testing in the past revealed that one gold medalist had XXY mosaicism, yet further testing confirmed that this individual was female, as she stated she was. With time, we will learn more about the spectrum of human gender. As we continue to learn, let's give these vulnerable young Nebraskans the chance they deserve to play sports, to belong, and to reach their full potential. Please do not advance LB 575. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Faber? I have one. Will cheek swab tell you whether you're XXXY chromosome?
They sent it off for karyotyping. And they sent it off for testing to make sure I was XX. But there's a lot of conditions. The more we test people, the more we learn. Mosaicism, different variations, people's who's, they have ovaries, but there's a Y in there. There's a lot we don't know yet. But you can actually see on MRI, which I thought was really interesting, it's kind of like neurodiversity, that someone who is transgender female, on the MRI, their brain looks more like someone who is female than male. And the same thing shows up on functional MRI testing. When someone's doing a task and being scanned, their pattern of brain activity more resembles the gender that they identify with. It's really fascinating.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair Merman, and thank you, Doctor. I mean, I think you could probably feel a collective wow from the committee. I didn't know that we had an Olympic athlete who is also practicing medicine in Omaha. So if we're ever feeling good about ourselves, we'll check our ego for a minute in deference to that incredible background. But Senator Merman's question got me thinking about something, and while I have a doc in the chair, I don't pretend to be one. when you get a cheek swab, and however, what's it called? Carotene testing?
Karyotype.
Karyotyping. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, I just didn't have the medical language. So is there any limitations then for like other aspects of DNA or medical privacy in terms of like what happens with that cheek swab that goes off to a school or government or some sort of sanctioning kind of organization? Does the test, what was it,
Karyotype.
testing? Karyotyping, does it just test for the chromosomes, or is there any restriction on limitation of that DNA material?
I'm sure the Olympic Committee has policies on what can
Okay.
be done with it. There's always the concern that someone won't follow the guidelines. I do believe, I'm not certain, but I believe they keep results for a while.
Okay.
As far as my 1991, who knows what happened to mine or.
No,
Yeah.
sure. And I know that, Nebraskans across the political spectrum get kind of nervous with giving up their DNA to big government databases. And so I wanted to learn a little bit more about that medical terminology because I wasn't familiar.
I
Thank
hadn't
you.
even thought about privacy at that point.
I hadn't either until Senator Merman brought it up. So this is very helpful in the committee hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.